Just a couple counties away, a young mother opens up about her battle with drug addiction. It's a fight she has won. This is Kaylyn Patrick. The young mother was born and raised in Hocking County in the quaint little city of Logan. After she graduated from high school, she was excited to get a taste of freedom, energized on making her mark on the world. But it all came crashing down when she started hanging out with the wrong crowd.
I graduated high school in May of 2011. The following April is when I met my at-then boyfriend. He was in rehab. He had told me that he was in rehab and in trouble for some bogus charges. I fell for it. I was a very naive 18-year-old kid. I turned 19 in May. He was released from rehab at the end of May of 2012. By June-ish, I started to notice some weird things with him. You know, money, he was always needing money. Money would come up missing, wouldn't come home for hours. Always, there was just some off things. I was still a very naive kid. I'd never really been around addiction ever. So I was completely blind to all of the signs. By July, August-ish, he had finally came clean to me that he was using Percocet. I had begged him to stop. Once again, still a very naive 19-year-old kid. Why can't you just stop? Why do you need these drugs? In August of 2012, I wanted to fit in with his friends. I wanted to fit in with him. I wanted to be able to go where he was going. I thought I was madly in love with this kid, was going to spend the rest of my life with him. And I ended up using heroin for the very first time in August of 2012. My very first drug. I had never smoked weed. I had never taken a pill, nothing. My very first drug was injecting heroin. The very first time I used, it feels as if you were wrapped in just the warmest blanket. You feel on top of the world. There is nothing that can stop you. You are so happy. There's no sadness. Like, you just feel like Superwoman.
To fund her benders, she tried to get a job, but it didn't really work so well.
I had a job in the beginning of the addiction, lost that one because it was more important. The drugs were more important. Like I said, you start detoxing. Depending on how much you use, you can start withdrawing within a couple hours. So when you're at work and you're only 2 hours into your shift and you're starting to feel like absolute garbage, you can make up as many excuses to leave. You know, it works for a little bit, or you can call in the next morning because you're withdrawing and you haven't got your stuff yet. So you have to call off. But after so many times of calling off and leaving early, you're fired. And then you'll go to your next job and the same vicious process is going to keep replaying. You might keep the job for a week or two, but eventually they're going to catch on. You're going to have to continue calling off or leaving early, or the constant phone calls that you're trying to make, or be on the phone so you can make sure you have the drugs as soon as you get off of work. It's impossible to maintain a job.
Then the bottom dropped out.
The first couple times, it's cool. You're using, you feel good. And then you wake up one morning and you feel like you had been ran over by the biggest semi, where it reversed and ran over you again. And I had no clue what was going on. I had thought that I had the flu. And lo and behold, I was going through withdrawal. And at that point, we weren't deep into our addiction, so money really wasn't an issue at this point. So just went and got more. But the farther you get into your addiction, the money is not there, and you're withdrawing within 4 to 6 hours after using. So you get to the point where you do not care how you get the money. You will rob your mother, your grandfather, the old lady on the corner. You don't care. You have zero morals. You turn into an absolute demon. You lie, you steal, you cheat, you rob. By the end of my addiction, I was actually running into Macy's stores in Columbus, and I was running out with armfuls of North Face jackets to sell to our dealer. And that was when we finally got caught. And had we not got caught that night, we knew that our luck was running out with what we were doing at that specific night. And I say we because we were arrested together, but had I not been arrested that night, the plan for the next day was we were going to start stalking ATMs. and we were going to wait for people to drive up to the ATM, and then we were going to make them give us their money. So we were actually detoxing this night. We were very, very, very deep, and we were probably 8 hours into our withdrawal. So very, very sick. And we had left. We were going to go try to find money somehow. And we were pulled over, and we were ordered out of the vehicle at gunpoint. And I'm maybe 100 pounds soaking wet. I was very, very deep, very, very sick into my addiction. Ordered out of the vehicle at gunpoint, literally countless lasers. You can just see red lasers everywhere. There's helicopters above us, shining lights. There's flashlights in our face. There's just cops coming out of nowhere, everywhere. And I was arrested. I was taken to, it's called the Workhouse. It's a jail in Franklin County, so Columbus, Ohio. You walk around this giant room with 60 to 80 females who half of them are detoxing with you. So you're fighting over the bathroom that has zero coverage. It's literally just a toilet in the middle of a room, essentially. Zero coverage. Like I said, you're fighting over the toilet with the girls who are detoxing with you. And there's one shower in that room for 80 some girls. And when you're withdrawing, the only thing you want to do is to get a shower. I called my parents and I begged them to come bail me out. My stepmom did. She came and bailed me out, and I came home, and unfortunately I continued to use for 2 weeks. When you're deep into your detox or your withdrawal, you can't see anything else but getting high. I was tired. I was so tired at this point, but I was so sick, withdrawal sick, that I didn't care. So I continued to use for 2 weeks, and my dad actually searched my bedroom and had found a needle in my bedroom, had called the police. I was on a weekend bender at this point. I had left my dad's house. He told me I was kicked out if I had left. I left for a weekend, came back on Monday. He said, "You have a warrant out for your arrest." And I said, "For what?" And he said, "Well, I found all the stuff in your bedroom and I called the police on you." And at that point, I knew it was time to get help. Because I knew I could run from my charges in Columbus. I just wouldn't go back to Columbus. They couldn't arrest me. I would just stay in Logan and use. And finding help back when I was using was extremely difficult. You either had to be rich to afford a rehab or a Suboxone clinic, which also I don't recommend. It's just another drug. You just had to have money to get help, or you had to be in trouble. And so this was my ticket. My dad had finally called the cops, and I had warrants out for my arrest in Logan, my hometown. And I walked the 3 blocks to the courthouse, and I walked in to the courtroom, and I said, "I'm here to turn myself in on my warrants." And the judge said, "I have no clue who you are." And I told him my name, and he said, this was a Monday morning. He said, "Ma'am, I don't have any charges for you." And I said, "If I leave this courthouse, I will not be back. I'm not coming back." I knew that I was approaching death very, very, very quickly. And he said, "Okay, hang tight. Let me see what I can find out." I called my dad. I told him to talk, because my dad was a fireman at the time, so very, very close with the police officers. And I said, "Call whoever you called and tell them to get my charges to the courthouse." And they did. And I turned myself in that day. I pled guilty without an attorney that day against all legal advice, and I begged for help. And Judge Moses put me in the Hocking County Vivitrol program, where I excelled. I did not have a dirty drug screen. I did not miss any court dates. I excelled at that program, and I completed the program on time. I graduated the Hocking County Vivitrol program, and I've been clean since November 18th of 2015. Like I said, I got clean in 2015. It takes a really long time for you basically to relearn how to live. For the years of your addiction, life is paused. It's just a constant cycle of the same thing every day. So it was like I was a toddler learning how to live again. I didn't have to look over my shoulders anymore. I could go into stores and not think of what I'm going to steal to be able to be okay. I could be human again. My very first goal when getting clean was to gain the trust of my family back, because I had lost every single family member. They would check on me, but other than that, there was no contact. So my main goal was to regain the trust and the relationships back with my family, which it took a while, because during my addiction, I had went to like a detox, and I'd leave 12 hours later, or I tried to get clean several times and I just couldn't. So in the back of their mind, this was just another one of my times. But I think after 6 months, I finally started to gain the relationships back. And then I got a job for the first time. And then my stepfather helped me buy a car, which I had cars, but they always ended up sold, or title loans to get money for drugs. So I finally had a car that I knew I was going to be able to keep. And I noticed that people didn't put their purses away when I would walk in the house, or for holidays, people would leave their wallets out, or valuables that you look and you're like, these people trust me again. They're not hiding and locking away all of their possessions because I walked into a house, or I'm not getting side eyes because I'm walking into Walmart with track marks all up and down my arms, or bruises from the track marks, or the big dark black circles, or I'm 5'10", so weighing 100 pounds, you look deathly sick. And you're not getting those looks anymore. You feel like a whole brand new person.
It's really hard to find a great job. And when you have a criminal record, you know what? It's even harder.
But finding a career is almost impossible. I'm actually working on getting my record completely expunged. I've been clean almost 7 years, and I'm working a dead-end job. I have no benefits. I have no retirement. I have no insurance. So finding a career is almost impossible. If you're a felon, if you have a felony record, you can't own a firearm, which counts you out of a lot of stuff. If you have, you get in trouble for driving while you're drugged, you can't get a lot of jobs because of your driving record. So finding a career is almost impossible. Finding a dead-end job is okay, but it's going to take you nowhere. It's a dead-end job. For those who are thinking about it, don't, because you will become the devil. You will literally become a demon. And for those who are using, it is so easy to get help. And I know the biggest fear of people getting clean is the withdrawal, because it's gruesome. You hallucinate, you are sick. But once you get over that hump, it is so beautiful. And there are a lot of detoxes now that help you medically detox. They help you not be so sick through your withdrawal. And you can walk into almost any police department, hospital, fire department, and surrender yourself and ask for help. I know in my hometown you can walk into the fire department, hey, I'm ready for help. And they will get you into a rehab. We actually have a task force here for that. But once you get clean, it is so beautiful. You don't have to wake up sick. You can go to family functions. You can have your family back. You can get a job. You can focus on life instead of focusing on the drug.
We've all heard it, don't do drugs. But have you lived it? The life consequences are huge if you go down the wrong path.
I have money in my bank account, which that might sound petty to people who have never lived the addiction life, but I know there's money in my bank account. My son, if he wants a toy, I can go to the store and I can buy him a toy because I have money in my bank account. I have custody of my children, when most people using lose custody of their children. I had my children after I'd been clean, but I can live life. So if you are still using, there is help, because you're either going to get clean, you're going to get your life back, you're going to die, or you're going to go to prison. And death is becoming a very popular thing while using. And there's someone out there who loves you very much. No matter how much they're mad at you, they love you and they just want you to be helped.
One final thought. Kaylyn asked me to share this picture from the beach. She says it represents her freedom and peace from the drug addiction.